I hope the microphone can pick up those birds. It's another beautiful morning and I'm back on the East Coast and I'm at Flamborough. I love Flamborough. There's just something magical about it, the views. It always seems to be sunny here as well. So I'm back on the East Coast, travelling down to where we'll eventually be Spurn Point. I've done a few videos already in this series. So if you like this type of thing, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I've got them all on now, you know. I don't know if I'm going the right way here. So what I'm doing is, they've got some famous seals on the beach. I doubt they'll still be there. They're down that way. But we'll go and have a look. Because it's way past their bedtime. They should be back at sea now. They'll be off to North Pole or wherever it is they go. There's a secret little beach, which is not really a secret, but I do love it. We'll go there in a minute. Well, there's people stood there, so maybe the seals are still there. And there's a viewing shed there, whatever you call it. I don't know what the proper name is. Oh, what a beautiful morning. So I spent the night in a pub car park in Bridlington and I needed to be editing my last video. I need to finish that off and get it out. But then when I got up this morning and I saw the beautiful clear skies, I thought I need to get up Flamborough quick before it gets too busy. I mean, it's probably about 9 AM. It's not that early, but there's already a few people about. I might go in the little cafe as well, have a toasted tea cake. Oh, living dream, I'm telling you. I love Flamborough. Have you ever been? You know, it's really worth a visit. If you come in the height of summer though, it's difficult to get parked, so you need to get here fairly early. Just look at this here. Absolutely stunning. Well, I hope they're there. I'll have to film on my phone so I can zoom in on them if they're there. Are they still there?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. They are. I thought they'd be gone now.
Some deer up there, I know. Did you see
Where?
them?
No, I've not seen them.
You know where the car park is?
Oh, I must have just missed them.
Just up back, the car park.
Oh,
Back
dear.
Big deer.
I love watching them. They look so uncomfortable when they're out of water, don't they? They seem to be struggling. Bless them. And they make a right sound. I love it here. But I'll give you another interesting little fact. 23rd of September 1779, I think I've remembered that right. Part of the American Revolution was fought out there with a ship called Bonhomme Richard, which was an American, I think it used to be a merchant, Indian merchant ship. But then it was part of the US Navy, I guess, and they fought a really vicious battle with the Royal Navy, and many people died just out there, 1779. So that's a win. You've had a bit of history there about a famous battle. You've seen some seals. We're going to see 2 lighthouses. I'll send drone up. I don't think it's too windy. And we'll go in a cafe as well. Yeah, it's got to be done. I've not had my breakfast yet. I've got bacon and egg in van, but you know, I like to go in a little cafe and support the local economy. There's 2 cafes. Well, there's probably more, but at the top here, there's 2 cafes. One of them, I used to go in with my mum and dad when I was little, so I like to go back in there. So it's got 2 lighthouses as Flamborough. The historic one, which you can see off in the distance, which was built from chalk in 1669. And then the more recent one, which is still on the go, which was built around about 1800, but it's fully automated now. It's nice when you're walking on the front on a foggy night at Bridlington, just over the coast, and you can see the lighthouse. It's very romantic. And I also remember as a lad when they used to have the fog on and you could hear that off in the distance. That was great. It was so mysterious and a bit haunting, a bit spooky. You've got the big cafe here on the end, which does an okay breakfast, I think, if I remember right. But there's a smaller one further down, which we'll go to. We'll look at the lighthouse, the old lighthouse, and then we'll go and have some breakfast. You've got the golf course off there. They're all up bright and early, getting a quick round in. The car park is quite expensive here, to be honest. So I'm rushing a little bit because I want to get a coffee and something to eat. And I want to send my drone up and have a look over this little bay, which is absolutely beautiful. You see that house there? Well, that was on that Grand Designs. What's your thoughts on that? I think you probably know my thoughts. I mean, I bet it's wonderful when you're inside. The views are fantastic, but, you know, I don't know. I just find it surprising that they get planning permission for some of these properties. It just looks like a block of Lego, doesn't it? Am I wrong? So as I was walking up the hill, I was thinking about having a toasted tea cake, but then the smell of bacon filled my senses. So I think that's what I'll be having. Cheers. I can admire that house from here.
Thank you very much.
It's nice and crispy. I'm ready for this. Mm. Mm. Lovely bacon. So that was the Cliff End Cafe, and that's, my mum and dad used to take me there when I was little, and I spoke to the lady and she says it's been there since the 20s, but it's not on the Cliff End, but it's called the Cliff End because the original Cliff End Cafe was on the end and it fell into the sea. So they've got this one here now. The consensus on the house, it's a mixed reaction. Apparently it was a bit of an eyesore there before, so it's better than what it was apparently. Let's go and have a look at this lighthouse here. And by the way, that bacon sandwich was beautiful, and that lovely coffee, really nice, £6.95, which is not a lot this day and age as prices are going up and up. So I recommend that cafe, lovely little place. So there you have the chalk tower, the original lighthouse. Was it a lighthouse then, or was it just a chalk tower? It was built by, it says here, I'm looking at a sign, it says in 1674. I'll show you a sign, I've not memorised all this. It was built in 1674 by a chap called Sir John Clayton and his business partner George Blake, And what happened is, if ever ships sailed past, they had to pay a tax. So that's how he earned his money. They'd pay a tax, and that was based on the weight of their cargo. However, it wasn't compulsory, so they just didn't pay. And poor Sir John ended up going bankrupt. Right? And do you want to know something really interesting? I don't think it was the lighthouse in the traditional sense, but do you know how they used to communicate to the ships and to people around? They had different coloured flags, and they were on like a frame, and they'd raise these flags which sort of gave messages. It was like a coded message. That's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going down onto my favourite little beach. Well, a semi-favourite beach. I mean, I'm not comparing it to like Benidorm or Mauritius or like that, but I just love it down here because it's quite sheltered and it's good for crabbing, but I don't like crabs. They're a bit sinister, if you ask me. So it was not far from here that I had a particular traumatic experience with a crab, and it sort of messed with my head for the rest of my life. I wouldn't say I've got a phobia of them, but I won't touch a crab. You know, like when my dog was crabbing, I'm not picking one up. I'll do it in net, but that's about it. I'm not putting one on my hand, because I'll tell you why. So we were at Boggle Hole on a school trip. If you know this area, you'll know Boggle Hole. There's like a youth hostel and stuff there. And we were up front walking along on beach, on rocks and stuff. And one of my mates, because you know what lads were like at that age, he picked a crab up, a dead crab, and he threw it at me, and it hit me full on in the face. You know, with dangly claws, and it just hit me. And it traumatised me. So whenever my daughter's like, let's go crabbing, I'm like, no, you don't want to go crabbing. But I do take her. I just stand afar. I get our Rebecca to step in and pick the crab up, because I'm a right wimp. And my daughter, oh my God. So they had this thing, she went to a party, you know, when they have all these exotic animals. And her mum was sending me photographs of her with like scorpions and tarantulas and snakes on her hands and that. God, they've just no fear at that age, have they? In fact, I've got a brilliant bit of footage, which if I can find it, I'll put it on, when we were on this beach here, crabbing with my daughter and my nephew, our Edward and our Rebecca. And it was such a perfect example of my beautiful daughter. She's trying to get me to lift, she's trying to lift these rocks up, and it's super heavy. And I'm like, you're not going to shift it. She says, you've got to try. If you don't try, you'll never know. Bless her. But really, I didn't want to lift it up because there might have been crabs underneath it.
I think I might be able to.
You can't move it, sweetheart.
I don't know, so please hold.
You can't move it, darling.
I'm by you.
Daddy can't move that.
It's because you're just looking at it, you're not trying.
Go on then, you try.
You've got to try.
I love it down here, I really do. It's got a bit like its own climate when you go down here, because it's so sheltered from the wind. I'll not be as enthusiastic when I'm coming back up, but I might be the only person down here, you watch. And there's lots of little bays and coves you can go in, and it's always a little bit scary because, you know, you're paranoid about tide coming in and trapping you. Oh, there's people on my beach. They're on my private beach. Oh well, it's safe for everybody, isn't it? You can spend hours on here just ferrying around and stuff. Fetch a little picnic, sit on rocks at back, and it's so warm and sheltered. Honestly, it's like being in Spain now. It's red hot down here. Oh, that smell. You know that smell of sea? This is the secret cove. It's always a little bit scary because I'm aware that, you know, rocks can fall down and stuff, but You know, what I'm doing for you guys, risking my life here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is what I'm talking about. See, it's starting to get busier. Got to keep the momentum going. So you need to have a basic level of fitness. Everyone's always right happy and cocky when they're going down. It's when you're coming back up, they're not smiling then. I mean, look at this. That were hard. I was chatting to two gentlemen. They've stood there halfway up the steps, and he's going, "Oh, I think I see a seal." He'd seen a seal. "Oh, look, it's amazing." So like, you want to go down that corner, mate? I felt like a bit of a tour guide. He says, "Why?" I says, "There's hundreds. If you go around here in Bay, there's hundreds of them." They were like, "Really?" I says, "Oh yeah." Anyway, car park's filling up. That's why I wanted to get here early. But I just want to show you something. I'm right excited thinking about my solar panels. You know, when it's sunny, that's what a nerd I am. Thinking of energy I'm getting. I'm parked right in front of this sign here. And it raises a couple of points. It says sleeping or camping is not permitted in this car park. Well, one, how do they know you're asleep? You could say, well, I'm awake all night, I sleep in day. But the thing that irks me the most, it says, please use one of the serviced sites. There are several motorhome and camper van facilities located in Bridlington and Flamborough. Absolute lies, there's none. If there's some council-run serviced motorhome facilities in Bridlington or Flamborough, please put them in the comments, because I've never found any of them. So they put that, it just winds me up a little bit. Anyway, I want to show you where I've got it back at van, and we'll talk about the power, seeing as it's nice and sunny, and I'm getting lots of sun, lots of solar. So, I'm going to have to move all this stuff first. Let me clear the back out so I can show you this. This is my Bluetti AC200L. This is my backup power, and I have a cable that runs, it just plugs in there and it runs into the front of the van. It's for charging cameras and laptops. But I love this power bank because you can add to it. It's like modular, and you can add these other sort of batteries to it. You can add up to 5, I think. Now, the main unit is 2048 kilowatt hours, and this is another 2764 kilowatt hour. As you can see, there's a lot of power there, but they're quite heavy. Another wonderful feature is you can get this. Oh. This is a DC to DC charger. This is called a Charger One, and that will charge this power station up from my van battery. That's surplus to requirements, so I'll let you know what I'm doing with that, and I'll tell you why I don't need it. I recently went to Consort for the electric upgrade, and while I was there I got them to put 2 smaller solar panels at the back of the van, and they come in purely to my Bluetti in the back to charge that up. So that's charging up nicely now in the sunshine. The cable comes in through there, it needs tidying up a bit, and it goes in, it plugs into that unit. I've not got much power though because I've used a load. What we're at? 39%, but that'll charge up nicely today in the sun, as long as it stays sunny. But 39% on this, that'll last me quite a while. So I went into Consort last week to have the electric upgraded in the van. As this was an old Partex van, it had got the older lead iron batteries, so I upgraded to the lithium, and I've had the Roma 230 base. It's 230 amp hour base battery. It goes under the seat. It's a right beast. It comes with an app. I never knew that batteries come with apps, but it's really good. And because it's lithium, it can do quite a lot of cycles, and you can fully discharge it. So it's been a game changer in this van. I've got the Victron thingy that tells me how much power. I don't think I've ever been below like 89%, because they also put in the B2B Victron charger. So as I'm driving, it's charging up, but it's not like the old B2B chargers. It charges up at quite like 600 watts or something like that. That's what I was talking about, the Bluetti one, which I've got. I don't need that one anymore. So yeah, absolute game changer getting the electrics upgraded so I can go off grid for longer. I mean, it's not cheap. I had to save up for it. I phoned Scott. I says, right, I've got the money. I'm coming in for upgrade. And there's a lot of work involved, believe it or not. There were 2 lads, Dan and Jamie, who worked on this van all day to get, you know, because it's got to be connected to the solar. I had the extra solar panels put in. So they've done a fantastic job, and I'm just excited about going on more trips this year and going to Europe and stuff like that. Anyway, that's a quick tour around Flamborough. I just want to show you one last interesting thing. If I can find it, I've heard about it. It's a myth. It's a legend. But let's see if we can find it. It's just down the road here at the St Oswald's Church, is it? Flamborough's Church. We'll go and have a look anyway. So, I've come to investigate something at this church. Now, I hope it's the right church. I presume it's St Oswald's. I don't know if there's 2 churches in Flamborough. And I don't know if there's going to be a service on because it's a Sunday morning, so there might be. So I might not even be able to go in. But it does look a very nice church. So it's a lovely looking church, isn't it? I'm not sure of dates, so maybe I'll be able to find out. But what's interesting about this church is the tomb of Sir Marmaduke Constable. That's a right name, isn't it? You don't need to be called Sir. If you're called Marmaduke Constable, that's enough, isn't it? Yeah, as it's a Sunday morning, there's a service going on inside. So I don't think I'll be able to see this tomb. See, a vlogger with any sense would have realised not to come on a Sunday morning. We're getting... I'll find a picture. Let me tell you the story. I was reading in one of my old I like myths and legends and things like that. Well, there's a lady here, she might be able to help me. I'll ask this lady. Excuse me, is this the right place? Is there a tomb of a Marmaduke Constable?
In there.
Is it inside? And
Yeah.
is there service on at the moment?
Yeah, it's finishing now.
Is it finishing?
It's
Oh.
right up the top end.
Oh, thank
You
you.
can see it's sort of an open chest type thing.
All right, thanks. Thanks very much. I'm just waiting for the service to finish. But let me tell you what I believe the story is. There was this, well, I don't really know much about it, just from memory. It was a Sir Marmaduke Constable. It was around during the War of the Roses, and it was quite an infamous, it was a famous general, and he fought in some really fierce battles. But there's a tomb inside to commemorate his life. But you know the term, a frog in your throat? Well, it comes from here. because, or him, it comes from Marmaduke Constable, because apparently what happened is he accidentally swallowed a frog. I don't know how you swallow a frog accidentally. Apparently he was drinking a glass of water and a frog had got in it and he swallowed it. But then what happened is the frog ate his heart and it killed him. And there's supposed to be a carving or a statue or something inside on his tomb which shows his heart or the frog or something like that. I think people are coming, oh, I'm like an intrepid reporter here, aren't I? It's like proper telly, this. I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask to see Doreen or Vic. So it's just finished. And I'm going to find this tomb somewhere. Excuse me, I'm looking for Doreen. Is it or Vic?
Yeah.
Or Vic?
She's just there.
All
If you go
right.
into that room.
Apparently quite popular on the people that follow war themes and whatnot.
All right.
You know, ancient.
Yeah.
And he's just there.
Can I go up? Is that
Yes,
okay?
you certainly can.
So is this the tomb here?
That's it.
And that's the...
That's supposed to be a carving of his breastbone and where he choked and the toad and things. And
Right.
that's all the bump on it, but it's in whatever
Old English, yes. So what does it say here? It's the Constable tomb. To the left of the altar is the Constable tomb, the final resting place of Sir Marmaduke Constable, known as the Little. He died in 1530 after being the trusted servant of several kings from Henry VI to Henry VIII. A soldier since his youth, Sir Marmaduke had seen service in France and in Scotland, his last battle being at Flodden Field, for where he received overwhelming praise from the king. The tomb is surmounted by the upper part of a skeleton, the ribcage being still visible, revealing a bulbous heart and a curious lump of stone said to be the representation of a toad. Legend has it that Sir Marmaduke, while drinking some water, swallowed the toad. This creature ate his heart away until he eventually died.
people that weren't allowed in the church for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You could see through that to the altar. Obviously, it's been filled in at the other side.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, they could, before this was built on.
That's interesting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So the peasants had to stand outside. And
Well, that's really
I'd be
interesting.
outside, I think.
Yeah. Oh, God, me too.
Never mind church warden.
So Doreen was telling me that came from the priory at Bridlington,
Yeah.
and during the dissolution of the monasteries.
Dissolution of the monastery. My version is Henry VIII wanted his own club.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't let him get divorced. Would
No.
They?
So
So that's.
this was sneaked away
That
here
was
and hidden.
spirited away.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. So this church was built in 1150, or they started building it in 1150. And then, as you saw, that sort of frame that had been sneaked away from Bridlington Priory, I'll probably visit there tomorrow. And because of the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII, he wanted his own religion, didn't he? So he basically went around smashing everywhere up, and it was a beautifully carved sort of archway. So they smuggled it, they sneaked it into this church, which he obviously, didn't come here, and it'll have had lots of statues on it, icons, which unfortunately over the years they've disappeared. Who knows what's happened to them? One thing that I found really interesting is that they used to have like a little hole where the peasants could look into the church. They weren't allowed to go to the service, and they had to just observe through the hole in the wall. That's bizarre, isn't it, that? So there was even snobbery back then. And the stone carving of old Marmaduke there, apparently those type of carvings, there's a name from an cadaver, so there's a name, and they're very popular in Europe. And of course, we're not actually that far, are we? Just across the sea there to Holland, is it? I think, yeah, probably. So I'm off back to the van now. I'm going to read this booklet with a cup of tea. I do like my churches, and I do get a little bit of stick now and then. Oh, I think Philistines really that are saying it's boring and stuff. it's so not the history. And you can literally, like in there, you can touch history. You can touch the wood that all these hands generations ago have carved. You know, I think that's so important. Poof! And at this moment, the rest of the footage mysteriously disappeared. I think it's just that this muppet here accidentally deleted it. I'm really sorry about that. But there weren't much more. It was just me rabbiting on like I usually do when having a look in the little village, sort of near the church and everything. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this little short video of Flamborough. I really like it there. It's definitely worth a trip. My next video is going to be the Bridlington one as I travel down the east coast. Then I've got a few coming with helibobs, and then it's back up to the east coast again. Thanks for watching. Click all the buttons, subscribe, all that. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, other one, Instagram, all that. And like I say, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, see you there.